Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom again. We're talking about the Discovery Channel and a program on the Discovery Channel called Screen Machines. Interesting title because we often talk about street machines as being cars, but these are screen machines. I think they had that title on purpose because it does sound like street machines. But screen machines are vehicles or cars that we've all seen in movies, and those cars or vehicles are just as important as the lead actors in those movies. So we did bring up the example of Back to the Future, of course. In that movie, we had Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox. And, of course, we had the DeLorean as well. We would remember the DeLorean just as much as Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, some people. I don't remember a lot about that movie, but I remember Christopher Lloyd was crazy and Michael J. Fox was cute. That's what I remember. We're going to be talking about some more famous cars from different types of movies. Some of these you'll probably have heard about. Ghostbusters was just remade with a bunch of women. The original Ghostbusters had a famous car. So we're going to talk about that. And we've got even more than that. So we're going to keep talking about our guy, Robert Mosley, who owns Bob's Prop Shop. But first, guys, as we always do, we're going to read through the article first. Most people would be astonished to look up from their task and see 4 people dressed as the Ghostbusters standing in their office. At Bob's Prop Shop, however, it's just another normal day. The real surprise comes when the Texas Ghostbusters, a group of fans of the Ghostbusters films, tells Mosley that they found a 1960 Miller Meteor Cadillac, the car from the 1984 Ghostbusters film, in pristine condition. The Cadillac has been sitting idle in a barn for 20 years, and now the Texas Ghostbusters want to transform it into the Ecto-1. The only catch is that it needs to be done by the end of the week. The Ghostbusters have one chance to bust the nearby haunted Baker Hotel before it's restored, and that's only 5 days away. Mosley promises to finish the job on one condition. He and his team, all Ghostbusters fans themselves, have to be included in the Baker Hotel operation. Later, Mosley's crew is thrilled to hear from the operators of Dinosaur Park in Austin, Texas. They're looking for a Jurassic Park-themed Jeep to give the park an authentic feel. Unfortunately, they have a limited budget of $15,000, and they need the Jeep in just 4 days. Much to his team's dismay, Mosley accepts the offer. They'll have to move fast if they're going to paint the Jeep, get the engine running, fit it with the correct parts, and install the dinosaur sound effects that will give the Jeep that extra edge. As the challenge is all part of the fun, however, the team jumps at the chance to get in on the action. To find out how they do it and see them build more classic movie cars, check out Screen Machines on Discovery this December.
Okay, everybody, let's continue with our lesson. Again, we're talking about street machines being brought back to life by Screen Machines, which is a company that specializes in bringing back old classic cars that appeared in films. Of course, they're doing this for their clients. Last time, of course, we talked about the example of the DeLorean. What did you say? It was a 1981 DeLorean or something like that? Something like that.
No, well,
that appeared in...
the movie was made in 1983. It's 1981 DeLorean.
Well, Back to the Future was in 1985, and the car you just mentioned was a 1981 DeLorean, which is no longer in production. But, hey, that's probably the most famous movie car that we've ever seen. But today we're going to talk about some other films that have used cars as well. We'll talk about Ghostbusters. Okay, that was actually remade recently by a bunch of female actors.
Female comedians, very funny ladies, yeah.
Yeah, I guess they are, but boy, did I have trouble watching that film.
Did you see it?
I did, and I just thought it was so bad.
It got bad reviews, to be honest.
Some people loved it, some people hated it. I just couldn't wait for the thing to be over with. But
I didn't know it came to Taiwan.
Yeah, it was in a second-run theater recently. But we're going to be talking about the first Ghostbuster movie that came out way back in 1984. But in any case here, the first paragraph begins by saying, most people would be astonished to look up from their task and see 4 people dressed as the Ghostbusters standing in their office. This would be at Bob's prop shop, okay? So imagine some people, they're working, okay, they're doing their tasks, they're doing their jobs, but then they look up to see some people standing there dressed like the Ghostbusters. They would be astonished. If you're astonished, that means you're very suddenly surprised by something.
They are. What are they surprised by? Some Ghostbusters standing in the office. That would be kind of shocking, though. But they sound like they're all fans of movies at Bob's prop shop, so that's just another normal day for them. They get lots of requests from people who are great fans of old films. The real surprise, though, comes when the Texas Ghostbusters, that's the name of the group of fans. They're obviously in the state of Texas, and they like Ghostbusters. So they've got their own fan group, fan club. We used to say when I was growing up, they're a fan club. They tell Mosley that they found a 1960 Miller Meteor Cadillac.
Ooh.
That's an old car. The car that was used in the 1984 Ghostbusters film, and they found it in pristine condition. Pristine means perfect. I always see pristine and I think of shiny, bright, polished, beautiful, but it's in excellent condition. So it sounds like they didn't find it in a junkyard, right? Junkyards, they usually are missing their engines, and they've been maybe in a couple accidents, so they look terrible. If they found it in pristine condition, so someone must have kept it in their garage and took good care of it all these years.
Yeah, I was also going to say, did this article say exactly where their shop is, in what part of the United States?
No, but several of these things are happening in Texas. We're going to come to an Austin, Texas pretty soon. I'm going to guess that it's located in Texas, but
I was going to say that I'm from the northern United States where it snows and rains quite a bit, but the first time I went down to Arizona, I was astonished at the number of vintage cars on the roads. And somebody told me, yes, it's all nice and dry down here. We don't get snow.
So, they last longer.
Yeah, cars last longer here. So if they're looking for old cars in the United States, they might head down to, say, Southern California or Arizona or even Texas, as you said. So again, they probably found this car, the 1963 Cadillac. What was it? The Mercury?
No, the Miller Meteor Cadillac.
Miller Cadillac.
No, Miller Meteor Cadillac.
Miller Meteor Cadillac. Okay. Actually, yes, that car appeared in both the Ghostbusters movies, or maybe all 3 of them. There was actually a remake of the first one, which was pretty bad, actually.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I think I saw most of it and walked out of the theater, even though it was on the airplane. But in any case here, this is talking about the Texas Ghostbusters, and they come in there looking for this Cadillac, which was from the 1984 Ghostbusters film. And it was a hearse, actually, which is a car used to transport caskets or coffins from the funeral home to the cemetery. Or it looked kind of like an ambulance, too, but I think it was actually a hearse.
I think it was a hearse, too.
Okay, but fortunately they found it. It says the Cadillac has been sitting idle in a barn for 20 years. A barn is a large building on a farm they used to store grain and things like that. And, maybe a farmer had this car and he put it in his barn and kind of forgot about it. It was sitting there idle. Idle just means it's not moving. And oftentimes we use the word idle to talk about cars that are sitting in traffic and the engine is running, but they're not moving. The cars are sitting idle, which means they're running and they're probably producing pollution, but people don't shut off their cars. I think they tried to enact a law in Taiwan where you can't idle in your car for longer than 3 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, but how the heck are the police going to enforce that?
Yeah.
But as if they don't have enough stuff to do. But in any case here, yes, the Texas Ghostbusters want to transform that Miller Meteor Cadillac from 1960 into the Ecto-1. To transform means to change something from one thing into another.
Yeah, but the only catch is that it needs to be done by the end of the week. So the only catch means the only hard part, the only trick to this is that they're going to have to do it very quickly. So we don't know if they're going to be able to do it that fast. The Ghostbusters have one chance to bust the nearby haunted Baker Hotel before it's restored. And that's only 5 days away. The reason this word bust is in quotation marks is they're not really going to break something. That's what bust means, to break something. They're going to actually get rid of the ghosts inside that hotel. So that's why they're called Ghostbusters. They actually break or get rid of the ghosts in a place that's haunted. If it's haunted, guys, it just means people believe there are ghosts still there. And they'll hear weird sounds and sometimes things fall and you don't know why. Have you ever been in a haunted house, Tom?
No, but I heard about a haunted house. People told me, oh, yes, there's a haunted house at the corner of Sinilu and Jilonglu. Evidently, there was some kind of photo studio there for many years, and people said it was haunted. It was finally torn down.
Oh, darn.
And a new building was put up there. I don't know if the new building is haunted, but people have also said, oh, yes, there's a haunted house in Danshui, or there's a haunted house in Beito. I hear this from people all the time, that it has ghosts in it.
Yeah, it's a little scary. There was a haunted house in New York City.
Oh, there was.
And you could hear a girl crying.
Oh, no.
It was weird, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, they're going to try to go bust this Baker Hotel and get rid of the ghosts that are haunting it before it's restored. To restore something is to take something and put it back into its original condition. Sometimes you'll see old homes that look really bad, and then somebody decides to buy them and restore them, and they fix them up and they look brand new.
To restore, to return it to its original condition.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll return in just a couple of seconds after we listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. 今天我们要继续来看这个 Discovery 频道的一个新节目，它叫 Screen Machines。它谈的是要怎么样打造电影的名车。好，我们看看，上次提到了它出任务，第一个任务跟那部所谓的 Scarface 八面煞星电影里面的名车有关。那只有这样吗？今天我们来看第二个任务是什么？第二个任务是跟另外一部片子叫做魔鬼克星 Ghostbusters 有关系。好 Ghostbusters 这当年也是一位叫好叫座的名片。那这个片子里头呢，谈到魔鬼克星里头也有一部车，那是1960年的凯迪拉克这一辆名车。那当然现在他们要打造这辆车。好，看到了这边说到 a pristine condition， 他们当时看到找到这个车啊，是一个全新的完全全新的状态。所以 pristine 这个字我们说它代表的就是 in its original form， 就是它原来的样貌，或者是你可以说它是 clean and fresh as if new， 就像新的一样。当时他们真的很兴奋，这个可是一辆全新的1960年凯迪拉克米勒流行车。好了，那我们来看这个车是闲置在一个谷仓里面有20年之久 sitting idle。 我们知道 idle 本来的意思就是没有在动。好，机器可以是 idle， 人也可以是 idle。 那谈到这辆车 sitting idle in a barn， 那就是它被摆在那里没有动，有20年。那现在呢，有一群德州魔鬼克星，这是他们自己称呼他们是 Texas Ghostbusters。 当然这群人他们非常迷这个电影 Ghostbusters， 所以他们给自己这样的称号。而他们这些人就想要把这部车把它转变成为 Ecto-1 这一辆车。那我们看到转变，当你用 transform 这个动词，记得后面会接着的介系词是 into， transform A into B。 好，把它转换成为他们要的这个车。那有没有困难呢？当然有，他后面就说 The only catch。 好， catch 我们先看这个字，它当名词来解释，它其实就相当于在讲圈套，换句话说是一个潜在的困难，它真的是有问题的。这个潜在的困难就是说时间，他说 It needs to be done by the end of the week。 好， by the end of the week， 我们知道 by 它这个介系词如果加时间就代表一个截止线，也就是在那条截止线之前。换句话，这里他们的时间是什么时候？是这一周结束之前就要完成。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue with our lesson. Again, we're talking about the Texas Ghostbusters, and they come into Screen Machines dressed as the Ghostbusters, and then they start playing that song. Not really, but I guess what they have to do, it's part of some kind of promotional gimmick that they have. They need to bust the nearby haunted Baker Hotel before it gets restored. They're going to remodel the Baker Hotel or something, but they need 5 days to find this car, which again is the 1960 Miller Meteor Cadillac, which appeared in Ghostbusters.
Now, they already have the car, Tom.
They've got the car.
And it's in pristine condition, but they got to get it ready to bust ghosts, I guess. Bust the ghosts.
Use those kind of guns they have or something like that.
Well, they want to transform it into the Ecto-1.
Ecto-1, right, to make it look exactly like it did in the first Ghostbusters movie, and Mosley promises to finish the job in one condition, or at least on one condition. We often say that to somebody, well, I'll do it for you on one condition. Okay, I'll do it for you, but there's one thing that you have to promise me. This is my condition. This is the thing that I want you to do. That's my term, basically, my condition, my requirement of you. And he and his team, all Ghostbusters fans themselves, have to be included in the Baker Hotel operation. So they want to be part of this operation. Operation can mean all sorts of things. It could be what a surgeon does to you if you need to have something done inside your body to remove some kind of growth or something, or to fix a bone or something. You'll have an operation. But this particular operation just refers to some kind of project that they're going to do that involves people and various activities.
That's right. So we're going to move down to the third paragraph right now. Later, Mosley's crew is thrilled to hear from the operators of Dinosaur Park in Austin, Texas. So we're moving on to a different project now. We've left our Ghostbusters behind. And we're talking about some operators at a dinosaur park. It's like an amusement park, but its whole theme is dinosaurs, which is kind of popular. It's very popular, especially with kids these days. I wanted to mention, we found out that Bob's Prop Shop is indeed located in Texas.
In Austin?
So no, it's in Duncanville, which I've never heard of Duncanville. But it's a good location because he's got a lot of clients coming to him. When they hear from the folks from the dinosaur park, it says that Mosley's crew, remember, those are the guys that work with him, they're thrilled. If you're thrilled, you're super duper excited. You could do something and it can be thrilling. But if you need the adjective to describe how a person feels, use thrilled. Don't say, oh, I feel thrilling. No, that's wrong.
Something can be thrilling.
Yes.
Riding on a roller coaster is thrilling, or you could say, I'm thrilled to ride on a roller coaster.
But if you say you're thrilling, people will laugh at you. And it's often something that I hear in Taiwan, so be careful with that. Now,
it's tough. It's a hard one.
Yeah, it is. Well, we've got a lot of those adjectives.
Exciting.
I'm exciting instead of I'm excited. They're looking for a Jurassic Park themed Jeep, that's a type of vehicle, to give the park an authentic feel. Authentic means real. It feels like you're really in the actual Jeep or the actual park. You feel like you're back in the movie. That's what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, there were two vehicles in Jurassic Park. That was back in 1993. There was a van, a Ford Explorer, I think, that the kids were inside when the dinosaur tipped it over. And then when they tried to run away from the dinosaur that was chasing them, they were in the Jeep, okay, with Jeff Goldblum sitting in the back.
Doctor, yeah.
He's
great.
Dinosaur coming really fast and stuff like that. So, indeed, they want that Jeep, which is from Jurassic Park. It's got that theme to give their park that authentic feel. Authentic means it's actually real. Like if you want to go to say, a Middle Eastern restaurant, you want authentic Middle Eastern food. Just like the food they serve in the Middle East, not changed here for different kinds of tastes here. We all like authentic food. Of course, people from Taiwan go to Chinese restaurants in the United States and they say, oh, we're not going to eat that. That is not authentic.
Yeah, it's American Chinese food. I like American Chinese food as well.
Yeah, it's very tasty. Yeah.
So they've got this new project. So how do they feel? Well, they're thrilled to hear that they get to work with the dinosaur park. But unfortunately, they have a limited budget of $15,000 US, that is. And they need the Jeep in just 4 days. So they've got a tight budget and a really short timeline, so it's a tough project for them. Much to his team's dismay, Mosley accepts the offer. He's the boss, so he gets to decide which projects to accept and which to turn down. When you use this phrase, much to someone's dismay, it means, oh, something happened and they're not happy about that part. No, don't accept it. We don't have time. Boss, what are you doing? And of course, it's up to the crew to finish the project on time, not just to the boss.
Yeah, they were disappointed. They didn't want to do that. How could you do that? How can we do that?
Time.
That is just such short notice. So yes, indeed, to their dismay, he accepted the offer. And so they'll have to move fast if they're going to paint the Jeep, get the engine running, fit it with the correct parts, and install the dinosaur sound effects that will give the Jeep that extra edge. Okay, so my goodness, they have to do all sorts of stuff. They have to paint the Jeep. They have to fix the engine to make sure it works. It has to have the correct parts. They have to paint it to look exactly like the Jeep in Jurassic Park. But also, they are going to install some dinosaur sound effects. Maybe it's got a speaker system or something.
Yeah.
If you install something, that means you basically set up some kind of machine or equipment so that it can be used. Most of us cannot install our own air conditioners. We have to have someone to come and install an air conditioner for us.
I get professionals, yes.
Indeed, we don't want to screw up. Plus, air conditioners are pretty heavy. They might fall down to the pavement and land on somebody if you don't know what you're doing. So they're having sound effects here, which are sounds that you often hear in movies and TV shows. I might be able to do some sound effects here. Here's a frog. And here's a bird. That could be some examples of sound effects. Here's the sound of something hitting the floor, etc. Those are kind of sound effects, but they need dinosaur sound effects like... Does that sound like a dinosaur?
No, that sounds like a monster.
I knew it didn't sound like it, but you have to give me an A for effort. But in any case, they're going to install those sound effects on the Jeep so that the Jeep can have that extra edge. Edge is usually the side of something, but in this case, edge means advantage.
Yeah, it gives you a little extra advantage that'll help you.
Actually, that sounded like I was throwing up or something.
I know it did. Sorry about that,
It's
listeners.
okay. I knew it sounded bad.
So as the challenge is all part of the fun, however, the team jumps at the chance to get in on the action. Here are some phrases we often use. If you jump at the chance, it means you have an opportunity that comes along and you don't pass it up. You say, oh, I want to do it. You jump at the chance. You don't let it pass you by. And if you get in on some action or get in on the action, it just means you get to participate. You're one of the people that actually gets to get in there and do something fun. You want to get in on the action. Get in on the action is often used more figuratively. Maybe some people maybe they have a lottery at work and they want to get in on the action. It means they want to put in some money and bet on whether they're going to to win or not.
Let's not encourage gambling here. We might get in trouble.
Yeah, so let's just say you get to participate in something.
There you go. Get in on the action. And to find out how they do it and to see them build more classic movie cars, you ought to check out Screen Machines on Discovery this December. So I'm kind of interested in this as well. I'm curious as to what sorts of cars from films that they decide to recreate. I'd like them to recreate the old Batmobile from the old TV show from way back in the 1960s. That was a cool car. Okay, that brings us to the end of our program for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
好，我们继续来看，谈到这个任务，时间可是一个大问题，因为就那么短短的5天之内，他们就要做完。那他当时说可以的，唯一的条件是什么呢？好，谈到条件，这个字是 condition。你说 on one condition， 介系词 on， 在这个条件，有这个条件，这个条件就是他说啊，也就是 Robert Mosley 他自己跟他的 team， 他们呢也必须加入他们这一次的行动。所以说，他们其实也是 Ghostbusters 的忠实粉丝。OK， 那我们再看这个任务完成之后还有没有？这边还有一个第3个任务，第3个任务还是跟另外一部电影有关。这部电影也许你也看过，就是 Jurassic Park。好，我们知道 Jurassic Park 就是侏罗纪公园。那现在有另外一群人，他们希望能够找到一辆这个 Jurassic Park 主题的吉普车。好，大家有看过电影，应该会知道它的样子，那个车的样子。可是这边提到是有侏罗纪公园主题的吉普车 Jurassic Park themed。 好，我们看到 themed 这是一个名词，主题再加 ed， 所以说我们知道有一种情况，就是在写复合形容词的时候会把名词当作动词来用，把它改成过去分词，像这个就是一个例子，其实就是以这个为主题的。好啦，那他们有没有办法办到呢？有一点不幸的是预算有限，因为钱没有那么多，而且呢他们还要在4天之内就拿到这辆吉普车，所以没办法咯，既然接受了这个价钱，就一定要赶快行动。好，我们来看看，这里有一个片语 much to his team's dismay。我们知道 to 然后加一个所有格，然后再加一个情绪名词，这样子的片语我们常用，表示令人感到怎样的。好，什么样的情绪名词呢？比如说 to my surprise， 让我很惊讶的， to my relief， 让我松一口气的。好，等等，那这边用的是 dismay， 它有一种感觉，就是令他们有点失望，有点挫折，这个含义都在所以是to his team's dismay。 不过它前面再加一个 much， 那我们就要注意到了，当你用这个片语，如果还要再强调那个程度上非常非常如何的话，你会把 much加在这个 to 之前，就像这边 to his teams， 它前面有一个 much to his team's dismay。 OK， 记住这个重要句型。我们今天的讲解就到这边结束了，我们下次见。
That is it for today's lesson. Thank you so much for joining us, and please, we beg of you, join us again for our program next time, and we'll have more stuff to teach you and to talk about. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.